The dry crackle of gravel spinning under expensive tires was the only warning I got. I was staking my tomatoes, enjoying the late September heat that still held the promise of summer, when the sound cut through the afternoon quiet. I wiped my hands on my apron and looked past the fence line. A car, low-slung and gleaming like a black pearl, was slicing through the dust of my driveway. A Panthera, my daughter-in-law, Olivia. She never just visited. Olivia made appearances. She stepped out of that car not like a person, but like an idea. All sharp angles, designer sunglasses, and a flowing cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Not a single blonde hair was out of place, which was a feat after the 3-hour drive from the city. She moved with that effortless, infuriating confidence that comes from never having to check a price tag. I walked toward the gate, my old boots crunching on the path. "Olivia," I said, managing a nod. "This is a surprise." She didn't respond. Her back was to me as she opened the trunk. My stomach gave a hard, cold lurch. She pulled out 2 small suitcases, the kind a child would use, bright pink with cartoon characters, and set them down on the gravel next to my mailbox. She handled them like they were bags of garbage. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice suddenly tight. Olivia finally turned. She pushed her sunglasses up onto her head, revealing eyes as cold and flat as polished stones. "I'm making a change, Martha." "A change? What does that mean?" "It means," she said, pulling a folded piece of paper from her purse, "that I'm done. I'm taking time for myself. I've earned it. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you." She held the paper out to me, pinching it between 2 perfectly manicured fingers as if it were contaminated. My hands, stained with garden dirt, were shaking as I took it. I unfolded the heavy, expensive stationery. The handwriting was all dramatic spikes and loops, just like her. "Going to Sicily, spiritual retreat, take care of the brat, back when I'm back." 4 lines, not even a signature. The words, "the brat," felt like a physical slap. I looked up, stunned. "You can't be serious. Sicily. You're just leaving." "I'm finding myself," she announced as if she were discussing the weather. "This guru in Sicily is exactly what I need. My spiritual alignment is a priority, Martha. You, of all people, should understand the importance of self-care." My mind was reeling, trying to catch up. The suitcases, the note. "Where is Chloe?" I demanded, my voice rising. "Where is my granddaughter?" Olivia laughed. It wasn't a pleasant sound. It was like ice cubes rattling in an empty glass. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. She's on her way." "What do you mean, on her way? Is she in the car?" I moved toward the Panthera, peering into the tinted back windows. "Of course not. I let her out down at the main road." The blood drained from my face. "The main road? That's over a mile away, Olivia. It's 90 degrees out." "It's exercise," she sniffed, already sliding back into the driver's seat. "Good for children to walk, builds character. You're always talking about character." "You left an 8-year-old child on the side of a highway?" The words came out as a strangled whisper. Rage, hot and pure, was building in my chest. "She's fine. She's resourceful." The engine purred to life, a deep, satisfied sound. "She spilled her juice all over the upholstery this morning. She needed to learn a lesson about consequences." Before I could scream, before I could find the words for the horror I was feeling, she put the car in reverse. Gravel sprayed as she spun around, the black Panthera disappearing down the drive in a cloud of dust. I stood there for one frozen second, the cruel note clutched in my hand. Then I dropped it and ran. My old knees screamed in protest, but I didn't care. I ran past the house, down the long, winding driveway, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The dust from her car was still settling when I reached the main road. I scanned the empty stretch of blacktop, my chest seizing with panic. And then I saw her, a tiny figure dragging a small, rolling backpack behind her. Chloe. She looked impossibly small against the vast, empty fields. Her dark hair was plastered to her forehead with sweat, her face streaked with dirt and tears. When she saw me running toward her, she didn't run to me. She just stopped, her shoulders slumped, as if she was waiting for the next punishment. "Chloe, sweetheart," I cried, my voice breaking. I fell to my knees on the hot gravel shoulder and pulled her into my arms. She was trembling, her body radiating heat. "Mama said I was bad," she whispered into my shoulder, her voice hoarse. "I was bad at breakfast." "You're not bad," I choked out, holding her tight. "You're perfect. You're safe now. Granny's got you." I picked up her little backpack. It weighed almost nothing, and holding her hand, I walked my granddaughter home. I got her inside, into the cool darkness of the farmhouse. I ran a bath, washed the grime and sweat from her thin body, and found one of my old t-shirts for her to wear as a nightgown. She was quiet through it all, her eyes huge and watchful, her movements small and hesitant. She was a ghost of the little girl I remembered. That evening, I made her favorite, chicken and dumpling soup, the same recipe I used to make for her father, Mitchell. The smell of thyme and simmering broth filled the kitchen, a smell that had always meant comfort and home. I set a steaming bowl in front of her at the kitchen table. She sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, just staring at it. "Go on, sweetheart," I said gently, sitting across from her. "It's your favorite." She didn't move. She glanced up at me, then back down at the bowl. A tear traced a clean path down her dusty cheek. "What's wrong, baby? Aren't you hungry?" She finally looked at me, her dark eyes filled with a confusion so deep it terrified me. She spoke in a voice so small I had to lean in to hear her. "Granny," she whispered, "am I permitted to eat today?" The spoon fell from my hand and clattered onto the floor. I felt the air leave my lungs. What did you say, Chloe?" "Mama says food is for good girls," she recited, her voice trembling. "And I was bad. I spilled the juice and then I cried when she told me to get out of the car, so I don't know if I'm permitted." I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just cruelty. This was systematic. This was torture. My beautiful, innocent granddaughter was asking for permission to eat. I walked around the table and knelt beside her chair, taking her small face in my hands. "Chloe, listen to me," I said, my voice thick with tears I refused to shed. "You are in Granny's house now. In this house, you never have to ask permission to eat. You eat when you are hungry. You drink when you are thirsty. You are allowed to be here. You are allowed to be you. Do you understand me?" She nodded, but the confusion was still there. I took the spoon, dipped it into the soup, and held it to her lips. "You are safe," I whispered. "Eat." She opened her mouth, and as I fed my 8-year-old granddaughter her dinner, a dangerous, protective fire ignited in my chest. This wasn't a spiritual retreat. This was an abandonment, and Olivia was going to pay for it. The next morning, I found Chloe sitting on the edge of the spare bed, her hands folded in her lap, exactly as I had left her. She was already dressed in the same wrinkled clothes from yesterday. "Good morning, sweetheart," I said softly from the doorway. "Did you sleep okay?" She nodded, her eyes fixed on a spot on the floor. "Am I supposed to stay in this room until lunch, Granny?" "What? No, baby, of course not. You can come out whenever you want." I forced a smile. "How about a nice shower, and we'll find you some clean clothes from your suitcase?" Her eyes went wide. "A shower? On a Tuesday?" I had to grip the doorframe to keep my knees from buckling. "You can shower any day you want, sweetheart. Any time you want." While the water was running, I opened the small pink suitcase Olivia had thrown on the gravel. My heart sank. 3 pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of socks, 1 other worn-out outfit, and a pair of pajamas. That was it. No toys, no books, no stuffed animals, nothing that belonged to a child. But at the very bottom, tucked under the thin lining, was a small, spiral-bound notebook. The cover had Chloe's rules written on it in her own careful 8-year-old handwriting. My hands were trembling as I opened it. Page after page, my granddaughter had documented her own abuse. Rule 1. Only speak when Mama asks you a question. Rule 2. Eat only what is on your plate. Do not ask for more. Rule 3. Ask permission before using the bathroom. Wait if Mama is busy. Rule 4. Do not cry or Mama gets a headache. Rule 5. Stay in your room when Mama has friends over. Do not make noise. Rule 6. Apologize 10 times if you make a mistake. Rule 7. Do not touch Mama's things. This includes the couch pillows. The list went on for 3 pages. At the bottom of the last page, in red crayon, was the final devastating entry. If I break the rules, I don't get dinner. If I am very bad, I don't get dinner for 2 days. Good girls are not hungry. I sank onto the bed, the notebook clutched in my hand. This was my proof. This was the cold, hard evidence of what Olivia had been doing. This flimsy little notebook was the weapon I needed. I heard the shower turn off. I quickly snapped a picture of every single page with my phone and then tucked the notebook into the drawer of my own nightstand. I would not let this out of my sight. I got Chloe settled at the kitchen table with a stack of pancakes she ate with a mixture of wonder and terror, as if she expected them to be snatched away at any moment. As soon as she was occupied, I stepped onto the back porch, my phone in my hand, and dialed my son. Mitchell answered on the 4th ring, his voice distracted and impatient. "Hi, Mom. Look, I'm just heading into a meeting. Can I call you back?" "No, you can't," I said, my voice as cold as steel. "Your daughter is here, Mitchell." A long pause. What do you mean she's there?" "I thought she was at school." "Your wife," I said, spitting the word out, "dropped Chloe off on the side of the highway yesterday. She left her. She's gone to Sicily on a spiritual retreat." "Sicily? That's not right. She was talking about a yoga class." He sounded confused, not angry, confused. "Mom, there must be a misunderstanding. Olivia's been under a lot of stress." "Stress?" I was gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles were white. "She left your 8-year-old child on a highway, Mitchell. She left a note calling her the brat, and your daughter asked me for permission to eat dinner last night." "Mom, you're being dramatic," he said, and the weakness in his voice made me sick. "You know how Olivia is. She's intense. She probably just needed a break, and she knew Chloe would be safe with you. You're blowing this out of proportion." "Blowing this out of proportion?" I was shouting now. "I am holding a notebook, Mitchell, a notebook in Chloe's own handwriting, full of rules. Rules like ask permission to use the bathroom, and if I break the rules, I don't get dinner. Does that sound like stress to you, or does it sound like abuse?" Another silence, this one longer, heavier. "A notebook?" he finally said, his voice small. "Mom, I have to go, my meeting." "Mitchell." "I'll call Olivia," he said, his voice suddenly firm, but it was a false, brittle firmness. "I'll sort this out. Don't put ideas in Chloe's head. I'll handle it." The line went dead. He had hung up on me. My own son. He hadn't asked if Chloe was okay. He hadn't asked what the other rules were. He had defended his wife and hung up. I stood on the porch, shaking with a rage so profound it left me breathless. I was alone in this. Mitchell was not an ally. He was a collaborator. I spent the next few days just watching Chloe. It was like watching a small, wounded animal learn to trust again. The first time she went to the fridge and got a juice box without asking, she froze for a full minute, waiting for a reprimand. When I just smiled and told her, "Good choice," she looked at me with stunned disbelief. We gardened. We baked cookies. We sat on the porch swing and watched the sunset. And slowly, she started to talk. Not about the rules, not about her mother, but about small things. "I like your chickens, Granny," she said one afternoon while we were collecting eggs. "I'm glad, sweetheart. They like you too. You're very gentle with them." She was quiet for a moment, carefully placing an egg in the basket. "Mama doesn't like animals. She says they're dirty." "Well, everyone's different," I said carefully. "I had a friend once," she said, her voice dropping. "Her name was Evelyn. She had a dog, a big fluffy one named Barnaby." "Oh, that sounds nice. Is she in your class at school?" Chloe's face fell. "She was my friend, but Mama said I can't play with her anymore." "Why not, sweetheart?" She shrugged, her small shoulders hunching. "Mama saw her mom, Evelyn's mom, I mean, when she was picking her up from school, and Mama said, she said they look poor, and it was embarrassing for our family to be seen with them. She said I have to be friends with important people." The casual, devastating snobbery of it, the way Olivia was actively isolating her own daughter, made my stomach churn. "That's nonsense, Chloe," I said firmly. "What matters is if someone is kind, not what they look like or what car their mom drives." "That's what I thought," she whispered, looking down. "Evelyn was kind. She shared her snack with me one day when Mama forgot to pack my lunch." My heart broke all over again. "Evelyn sounds like a wonderful friend," I said, making a mental note of the name. Evelyn. That night, after Chloe was asleep, I did something I wasn't proud of. I went into her backpack and found her school directory from the city. There was only one Evelyn in her class. The directory listed her mother's name, Eleanor Vance. I stared at the phone number for a long time. This woman, Eleanor, probably thought I was part of the same monstrous family that had snubbed her and her daughter. Calling her was a huge risk. She could hang up. She could tell me to mind my own business. I dialed the number before I could lose my nerve. "Hello?" A woman's voice, tired but friendly. "Hello, my name is Martha. I'm Chloe's grandmother." The line went silent. The friendliness vanished. "Oh," she said, her voice turning guarded. "I see." "Please don't hang up," I rushed out. "I'm calling about Chloe. She's with me. Her mother dropped her off and left the country. I'm very, very worried about her." Another pause. "Worried? How?" "My granddaughter is afraid to eat. She's afraid to use the bathroom. She told me her mother, Olivia, forbade her from playing with your daughter, Evelyn, because you looked poor." The breath that Eleanor let out on the other end was a ragged sigh. "Oh, thank God," she whispered. "I knew it. I knew something was wrong." "You did?" "Yes. I've been worried sick about that little girl for months. That woman, Olivia, she's cruel. I saw it." "What did you see?" I asked, gripping the phone. "About 2 months ago at the park," Eleanor said, her voice gaining strength, all traces of tiredness gone. "Evelyn and Chloe were playing on the swings, just laughing and being kids. Olivia was on her phone, not paying attention. When she finally looked up and saw them together, Martha, she stormed over there, grabbed Chloe by the arm so hard the little girl cried out, and dragged her away." "Oh no," I whispered. "And she looked right at me and Evelyn," Eleanor continued, her voice shaking with remembered anger. "And she said, 'We don't play with trash, Chloe. What have I told you?' In front of my daughter, in front of everyone. Chloe was sobbing, apologizing, saying, 'I'm sorry, Mama, I'll be good, I'm sorry.' I almost called CPS then, but I didn't know. I didn't have proof. I was afraid of making it worse for her." "You have proof now," I said, my voice hard. "I do. I found her rule book." "Her what?" I read her 3 of the rules. The line was silent, and I heard Eleanor start to cry. "That poor baby," she wept. "Martha, what can I do? I'll do anything. I'll write a statement. I'll talk to anyone. That woman can't be allowed to have that child." "Thank you, Eleanor," I said, tears blurring my own vision. That may be exactly what I need." We talked for another hour. By the time I hung up, I felt a new strength. I wasn't alone. I had a witness. I didn't hear from Mitchell for 3 days. Not a text, not a call. I left him 2 messages, both of which went straight to voicemail. I was starting to believe he had just washed his hands of the entire situation, hiding his head in the sand until Olivia returned. Then, on Saturday morning, my phone rang. It was him. "Mom," he said. His voice was strange, subdued. "Hey, I'm in the area. Just had a meeting nearby. I was thinking I could stop by. See how Chloe's doing." My heart leaped. Had he come to his senses? A meeting on a Saturday near my farm? "Yeah, it's a new client," he stammered. "Rural development. Anyway, I'm only about 20 minutes out. Is that okay?" "Of course, Mitchell. She'll be so happy to see you." I hung up, a cautious optimism blooming in my chest. Maybe my words had gotten through to him. Maybe he'd finally realized what was happening. When his sedan pulled in, Chloe ran to the door, her face lit up. "Daddy!" He hugged her, but it felt off. He was stiff, his eyes darting around my living room, never quite meeting mine. "Hey, Pumpkin, you look good. Farm life suits you." "Granny's letting me eat pancakes," she whispered to him, like it was a magnificent secret. I watched his face. He flinched. A flicker of something, guilt, pain, crossed his features before he smoothed it away. "That's great, sweetie, that's great." "Mitchell, can I talk to you in the kitchen?" I asked. He followed me, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. "Mom, look." "Did you talk to Olivia?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "I did," he said, looking at the floor. She's very upset. She says you've misunderstood, that the rules were just a game she was playing with Chloe, to teach her structure." I stared at him. "A game? Don't cry or Mama gets a headache. Don't get dinner for 2 days. You believe that's a game?" "I don't know what to believe," he snapped, his voice cracking. "You're telling me one thing, she's telling me another. She's my wife, Mom. And Chloe is your daughter." He rubbed his face, looking exhausted. I know. Look, can I just see her? I don't want to fight." He walked back into the living room, leaving me fuming. He spent an hour with Chloe. I stayed in the kitchen, giving them space, listening to their stilted conversation. Then he came back in, his jacket slung over his arm. "She seems okay," he said. "She's healing, Mitchell." "Yeah, look, Mom, I've really got to go. That client, you know." He was already backing toward the door. I'll call you. We'll figure this out. The main thing is she's safe, right?" "Right," I said slowly, narrowing my eyes. Something was wrong. "Hey, Mom, before I go, you still got those new chickens you were telling me about?" he asked, a bright, false smile plastered on his face. "I've got a minute." "Show me." It was a strange request, but I was desperate for any connection. "Sure, they're out back." We walked to the coop. He asked a dozen pointless questions about feed and breeds, his eyes constantly glancing back toward the house. He seemed agitated, checking his watch. "Okay, really gotta run," he said abruptly, clapping his hands together. He gave me a quick, awkward hug. "Love you, Mom. Tell Chloe. Tell her I love her." He was in his car and gone in 30 seconds. I stood by the chicken coop, a sick, cold feeling settling in my stomach. That wasn't a visit, that was a reconnaissance mission. I went back inside, the sense of dread growing with every step. Chloe was in the living room drawing a picture of the chickens. "Daddy was funny," she said. "Was he, sweetheart? How so?" "He asked me where you sleep," she said, not looking up from her crayon, "and he asked where my rule book was. He said Mama wanted it back, to fix the game." My blood ran cold. I sprinted into my bedroom. I pulled open the nightstand drawer. It was empty. The notebook was gone. I ran back to the hall, fumbling for my phone. I checked the pictures I had taken. They were gone, every single one. My gallery was empty. "Chloe," I said, my voice shaking, "when Daddy was here, did he use my phone? Did you see him with it?" She nodded. "He said he needed to check the weather. He was looking at it when you were getting your boots on to show him the chickens. He had come here to destroy the evidence. He had distracted me, walked into my room, stolen the physical notebook, and then taken my phone and deleted the digital copies. All of it. Gone. He hadn't come to see his daughter. He had come to protect his wife. I sank onto the steps, the full force of his betrayal hitting me like a physical blow. I had lost my proof, my case. My one concrete piece of leverage was gone, stolen by my own son. The fury that filled me was white hot. I had been outmaneuvered, played like a fool. I had nothing. I dialed his number. He didn't pick up. I dialed it again and again. On the 5th try, he answered, his voice annoyed. "Mom, I'm driving. What is it?" "You came into my house," I said, my voice a low, dangerous tremor. "You came into my bedroom and you stole from me." "What are you talking about?" he said, his voice a perfect imitation of confusion. "I have no idea what you mean." "The notebook, Mitchell. Chloe's notebook. You took it, and you deleted the pictures from my phone. You came here and you destroyed the only proof I had." "Mom, you are bordering on hysterical," he said, his voice turning cold and sharp. "I came to see my daughter, and all I got was a lecture. Now you're accusing me of stealing? You need to calm down. You're upsetting Chloe." You gaslighting little—" "I'm hanging up now," he said firmly. "We will talk about this when Olivia is back and when you are rational. Stop poisoning my daughter against her mother. You're not helping Mom. You're making everything worse." The line clicked dead. I stared at the phone. He had done it. He had looked me in the eye, lied to me, stolen from me, and then twisted it to make it my fault. He had chosen. He had chosen Olivia. I was done. No more trying to save my son. My son was lost. My only priority now was Chloe, and if I had no proof, I would have to find more. This fight wasn't over. It had just begun. The next 2 weeks were agonizing. I lived in a state of hypervigilance, half expecting Olivia to show up with the police to demand her daughter back. I called Eleanor Vance again. She was horrified to hear about the stolen notebook. "That's obstruction, Martha," she said, her voice tight with anger. He stole evidence." "It's my word against his," I said, rubbing my temples. "Right now, I have nothing." "You have my statement," she said firmly. "I'll go to the police right now." "No, not yet," I said. "Let me think. I need something they can't deny. Something from them." Chloe had settled into a routine. I'd enrolled her in the local elementary school, a small, wonderful place where the teachers all knew her name by the second day. She was making friends. She was smiling. One afternoon, she came home and dumped her backpack on the kitchen table. "Granny, my zipper's stuck," she said, pointing to the small front pocket. "Here, let me see, sweetie." I worked the zipper back and forth, finally easing it open. Inside, among some broken crayons and a granola bar wrapper, was a crumpled wad of paper. "Oh, what's this junk?" I said, pulling it out. Chloe's eyes went wide. She snatched it from my hand. "No, that's a secret." "Chloe, what is it?" I asked gently. "You're not in trouble. I'm not Mama." Her face crumpled. "Mama told me to throw it away. It came out of the printer. She was so mad. She ripped it up and put it in the trash. But I took it out. I hid it." "Why, sweetheart? Why did you keep it?" She looked down, her voice a whisper. "Because it had your name on it. And Mama was saying bad words about you. I thought maybe it was important." My hands were shaking. I gently took the crumpled, taped-together pieces of paper from her. "You did a good job, Chloe. A very, very brave job." I smoothed the paper out on the table. It was a printout of a text message thread. My vision blurred as I read the words. It was a conversation between Olivia and Mitchell dated 3 months ago. "Olivia, your mother called again, asking to see Chloe. What did you tell her?" "Mitchell, Same thing. Busy, school activities. She's getting suspicious, Liv. Maybe we should just let her visit for an afternoon. Olivia. Absolutely not. I don't want her granny nonsense messing up the system I've built. Chloe is finally starting to understand the rules. Her visits just confuse her. Olivia. Besides, the money she sends is too useful. I just moved that last $2,000 she sent for Chloe's school clothes to cover the payment on the Panthera. We can't risk losing that just because she disapproves of our parenting. My blood turned to ice. $8,000. Over the last 2 years, I had sent Mitchell nearly $8,000, specifically earmarked for Chloe. School supplies, clothes, summer camp, money I'd saved, money my granddaughter had never seen. I kept reading. Mitchell, $2,000. Jesus, Liv, that was for her tuition deposit. Olivia, she can go to public school. I'm not wasting money on private school when I need a spiritual alignment retreat. Which brings me to Sicily. I've booked it. Mitchell, you can't be serious. What about Chloe? Olivia, we'll drop her at your mother's. It's perfect. She gets to see the brat, we get a break, and she'll probably send more money out of pity. Mitchell, I don't know, Liv. Stealing from my mom is one thing, but... Olivia, it's not stealing. It's reallocating family funds. Stop being so weak. It's handled. Just make sure you delete these. I'm printing them for the travel agent file and then shredding them. But she hadn't. Or at least my granddaughter, my brave, tiny secret keeper, had rescued them from the trash. This wasn't just a notebook I could be accused of fabricating. This wasn't a game. This was a cold, documented conspiracy to commit fraud and abuse. I had them. I finally had them. My first instinct was to call the police. My second was to call Eleanor. But my third, the one that won, was to call my son. He needed to answer for this. I dialed his number. He answered on the first ring, his voice breathless and panicked. Mom? Oh, God, Mom! I have them, Mitchell, I said, my voice shaking with a cold fury. I have the text messages, the ones about the $8,000, the ones where you and Olivia plot to use me as a bank account and an unpaid babysitter while you allocate the money I sent for your daughter. The line was silent, but I could hear him breathing, a ragged, hitching sound. You stole the notebook, I continued, but you didn't know she was smarter than both of you. You didn't know she kept her own evidence. I know, he whispered. His words stopped me cold. What? I know, Mom. I found my own copy. After I took the notebook from you, I went home and I couldn't sleep. I felt sick. I tore Olivia's office apart looking for, I don't know what, and I found them, the originals, tucked in her travel file just like she said. He was crying now, a deep, broken sobbing. Mom, what have I done? I saw the words. Stealing from my mom is one thing. I wrote that. I let her do it. I let her do all of it. To you. To Chloe. Oh God, my little girl. I was stunned into silence. The rage I felt was still there, but it was now complicated by the raw agony in his voice. What did you do, Mitchell? I asked quietly. I sat there all night, he choked out, reading the notebook I stole from you. I read every rule, and I saw her. I saw what I let her become, what we did to her. Mitchell. I called her, Mom, he said, his voice gaining a frantic edge. I called Olivia in Sicily. I told her what I found. I told her it was over. She went insane. She's on a plane. She's on her way back. She's coming to get Chloe. She said she would destroy me. And you. My heart hammered against my ribs. When? I don't know. Soon. Today. Tomorrow. But Mom, I did something else. What? This morning, he whispered. I called Child Protective Services. I told them everything. I told them what I did. I told them what she did. I sent them the pictures I took of the notebook, the ones I deleted from your phone. I had them all along. I'm so sorry, Mom. I sank into a kitchen chair. He had the proof. He had given them the proof. They're sending someone, he stammered. A caseworker. Samantha Morrison. She's supposed to meet me at your house. I'm on my way, but Mom, Olivia's on her way too, and she's faster than me. I think she's almost there. As he said it, I heard the sound that had started this nightmare, the dry crackle of gravel. I looked out the kitchen window. The Black Panthera was speeding up my driveway. She's here, I said, my voice flat. She's here right now. Mom, don't let her in, Mitchell yelled through the phone. Lock the doors. I'm 10 minutes away. The CPS worker is right behind me. Chloe, go to your room, I said calmly. Lock the door. Do not come out until I come and get you. Do you understand? She saw the look on my face, saw the black car through the window, and her face went pale. She nodded, grabbed her drawing, and ran down the hall. I heard the click of the bedroom lock. I hung up on Mitchell and stood in my living room, the printed text messages in my hand. The knock on my door wasn't a knock. It was a pounding. Martha, open this door. I know you're in there, you old hag. Give me my daughter. I walked over and opened the door. Olivia stood on my porch, but this wasn't the calm, coiffed woman from 2 weeks ago. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were wild with rage, and her expensive dress was rumpled from travel. She looked unhinged. Where is she? She shrieked, pushing past me into the house. Chloe! Chloe, we're leaving. She's not going anywhere with you, Olivia, I said, closing the door. You have no right. She spun on me, her finger jabbing at my face. You have poisoned my daughter, and you have turned my husband against me. You will pay for this. No, I said, my voice quiet. You will. Just as she opened her mouth to scream again, Mitchell's sedan skidded to a halt behind her Panthera. He jumped out, his face pale and set. Olivia, stop, he said, walking into the house. It's over. Over? She laughed, a high, manic sound. It's not over until I have my daughter and you are in the gutter, Mitchell. You spineless, pathetic mama's boy. You called them. You reported me. I reported us, he said, his voice breaking. I told them what we did, what I let you do. What we did, she snarled. I did what was necessary. I was teaching her discipline. Something your mother clearly never taught you. Was this discipline, Olivia? I asked. I stepped forward and held up the text messages. Or was this fraud? Her eyes snapped to the papers in my hand. The color drained from her face. She recognized them. Where did you get that? She whispered, her rage momentarily replaced by pure shock. Chloe kept them, I said. She rescued them from the trash after you told her to destroy them. She's smarter than you, Olivia. She's stronger than you, and she knew you were wrong. Olivia lunged for the papers, but Mitchell stepped between us. No, Liv, stop. Just stop. You're siding with her? Olivia stared at her husband, her face a mask of disbelief. After everything I've done for you? After I made you into someone? You made me into a monster, Mitchell whispered, his eyes filling with tears. You made me an accomplice. You made me steal from my own mother and ignore the abuse of my own child. I'm done. I'm done, Olivia. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, she shrieked. I'll take you for everything. I'll take her. I'll tell them you're unstable. I'll tell them she is. She pointed at me. I don't think you'll be telling anyone anything. A new voice cut through the room, calm and professional. We all turned. A woman in a dark blue suit was standing in the open doorway. She was tall, with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun and eyes that looked like they had seen everything. She held up a badge. My name is Samantha Morrison, she said, stepping inside. I'm with Child Protective Services. I'm here to speak with Mr. and Mrs. Holloway regarding a welfare concern for their daughter, Chloe Holloway. Olivia went rigid. This is harassment. It's a domestic dispute. This old woman is trying to kidnap my child. Ms. Morrison's gaze swept the room. She looked at the text messages in my hand. She looked at Mitchell, who was visibly shaking and looked like he hadn't slept in days. She looked at Olivia, who was vibrating with barely contained fury. "Mr. Holloway?" Ms. Morrison said, addressing Mitchell. "You're the one who called?" "Yes," Mitchell said, his voice hoarse. I sent you the files, the notebook." "I received them," Ms. Morrison said gravely, "and I have to say, in 15 years of doing this job, I have rarely seen such calculated documentation." "It's a lie," Olivia shouted. "It's a game. It was a game we played." "A game, Mrs. Holloway?" Ms. Morrison asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "Rule number 4, do not cry or Mama gets a headache. Rule number 7, if I break the rules, I don't get dinner for 2 days. Does that sound like a game to you? She's a dramatic child. She misunderstands things. She's always been difficult. I've also received a sworn, notarized statement from an Eleanor Vance," Ms. Morrison continued, as if Olivia hadn't spoken, "describing a public incident at a park where you referred to her daughter as trash and physically dragged Chloe away for playing with her." Olivia's jaw dropped. That woman, this is a conspiracy." "And then," I said, holding out the papers, "there's this." Ms. Morrison took the text messages. She read them in silence, her expression hardening with every line. When she got to the part about the $8,000 and the Panthera payment, she slowly looked up, first at the car in the driveway, then at Olivia. "Mrs. Holloway," she said, her voice ice, "this is no longer a welfare concern. This is a criminal investigation." "You can't prove any of this," Olivia said, but her voice was shaking. The bravado was gone. "I have a full confession from your husband," Ms. Morrison said. "I have the notebook he provided. I have a statement from an independent witness. And I have this," she waved the texts, "which details conspiracy to commit fraud on top of the severe emotional abuse and neglect. I believe I have everything I need." You can't take my daughter," Olivia whispered, tears of rage and panic filling her eyes. "I'm her mother." "That's what we're here to determine," Ms. Morrison said. "I need to speak with the child alone." "No," Olivia said, lunging for the hallway. "You are not talking to her without me." Mitchell grabbed her arm. "Stop it, Liv. You've done enough." "Martha," Ms. Morrison said, looking at me, "can you please get Chloe?" I walked down the hall and knocked gently. "Sweetheart, it's Granny. There's a nice lady here who needs to talk to you. She's here to help." The lock clicked and the door opened. Chloe's face was streaked with tears. "I heard Mama," she whispered. "She's mad. I know, baby, but you're safe. I promise you. This lady, Samantha, she's going to make sure the rules are gone forever." I walked her back to the living room. Olivia made a sobbing sound and reached for her. "Chloe, baby, tell them. Tell them Mama loves you. Tell them this is all a big misunderstanding." Chloe flinched and hid behind my legs, clinging to my apron. Ms. Morrison knelt, giving Olivia a hard look to stay back. "Hello, Chloe. My name is Samantha. I'm a friend of your Granny's. I'm here to help. Can I ask you a few questions? We can go sit on the porch." Chloe looked at me. I nodded. "It's okay, sweetheart. You can tell her anything. It's time to tell the truth." Chloe nodded and shyly took Ms. Morrison's hand. They were on the porch for 20 minutes. We could hear the murmur of their voices, Ms. Morrison's calm and low, Chloe's small and hesitant at first, then growing stronger. Inside, Olivia paced the floor like a caged animal, muttering about lawyers and parental rights. Mitchell just sat in a chair, his head in his hands, weeping silently. When Ms. Morrison and Chloe came back in, Chloe's face was calm. She wasn't crying anymore. She walked straight over to me and took my hand. Ms. Morrison's face was grim. "Chloe," Olivia said, her voice dripping with a false, desperate sweetness. "Sweetheart, it's time to go. Let's go home. Mama will buy you that new doll you wanted." Chloe just squeezed my hand. "Mrs. Holloway," Ms. Morrison said, "Chloe will not be going home with you today." "What?" Olivia shrieked. Based on my conversation with Chloe, combined with the overwhelming evidence of systematic emotional abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation, I am placing her in the temporary emergency custody of her grandmother, Martha. "You can't! She's my daughter!" It was Chloe who spoke. Her voice was small, but it cut through the room like a bell. "Do I have to?" she asked, looking right at Olivia. I don't want to go. I don't want to follow the rules anymore. I want to stay with Granny." Olivia looked at her daughter as if she'd been struck. The final, undeniable rejection. You little brat," Olivia hissed, the mask of the loving mother disintegrating completely. "After everything I've done for you, you ungrateful little thing." "That's enough," Ms. Morrison said, stepping between them. "Mrs. Holloway, I'm advising you to leave the premises. You will be contacted by my office and the police regarding the next steps. If you attempt to contact your daughter or her grandmother, you will be arrested." Olivia stared at Mitchell. "Are you going to let this happen? Are you going to let them take our family apart?" Mitchell slowly stood up. He looked at Chloe, who was watching him with wide, uncertain eyes. And I saw my son make his final choice. "You took our family apart, Liv," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "You did it every time you made her afraid to eat. You did it every time you sold one of her toys. You did it when you left her on the side of that road." He walked over and stood next to me, placing his hand on Chloe's other shoulder. "She's staying here." Olivia's face went through 1,000 emotions: shock, rage, calculation, and finally, cold, empty defeat. She knew she had lost. She looked at me, her eyes narrowing to slits. "You'll regret this, Martha. You old witch. You'll regret this." She turned, her heels clicking on my hardwood floor, stormed out the front door, got into her Panthera, and tore out of my driveway, spraying gravel for the second and final time. The room was silent. Then Chloe let out a long, shuddering breath and burrowed her face into my side. "It's over, sweetheart," I whispered, stroking her hair. "It's finally over." "Miss." Morrison was on her phone, speaking in low tones. Mitchell sank back into the chair, his face pale. I'm going to be in so much trouble, aren't I?" he whispered to me. "Yes," I said honestly. "You are. You have a lot to answer for, Mitchell. To me and to the law, but most of all, to her." He looked at his daughter. "I know. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to her. I swear it." 6 months can feel like a lifetime. The legal battle was brutal, but swift. Olivia's high-priced lawyers were no match for the mountain of evidence against her. The text messages, the bank records I provided showing the $8,000 in transfers, Eleanor's testimony, Mitchell's full confession, and Chloe's own quiet, powerful testimony to the judge. It was a landslide. Olivia was found guilty of child endangerment and fraud. She was given a suspended sentence, probation, and mandatory psychiatric counseling. Her parental rights were terminated. The last I heard, she'd violated her probation and fled the state. She was somewhere in Florida living with some new man, her social media feed full of pictures of sunsets and captions about toxic family and living her authentic life. Good riddance. Mitchell took his punishment. He pleaded guilty to being an accessory to fraud and obstruction. He paid back every cent of the $8,000, plus fines. He did community service and attended parenting classes and therapy sessions for a year. He lost his high-paying city job, but he found his daughter, The court awarded him full custody, and the first thing he did was sell his city condo, sell his car, and move back to our small town. He bought a small fixer-upper just 2 miles down the road from my farm. He was here every day, learning, rebuilding. He was coaching Chloe's t-ball team. He was learning to cook. He was present. He was finally, fully, her father. I was in my kitchen, flour on my hands from rolling out a pie crust, when I heard them laughing outside. I looked out the window. Chloe and Mitchell were in the garden, tying up the new tomato plants. She was showing him, her small hands demonstrating the gentle loop I had taught her. He was watching her with an expression of pure adoration. The healing hadn't been instant. For the first few months, Chloe would still hoard food, an apple, a handful of crackers in her pockets, a small, sad insurance against the hunger she had been taught to fear. But now she was just a kid, a happy, loud, messy, wonderful 9-year-old. "Granny! Granny, come quick!" she yelled, running to the back door, her face bright with excitement. "Daddy and I found something." I wiped my hands on my apron and followed her to the old barn. Mitchell was kneeling by a stack of hay bales, holding something small and trembling. It was a kitten. A tiny, scrawny little thing, all gray stripes and enormous green eyes. "She was all alone," Chloe whispered, reaching out one finger to stroke its head. I think her mama left her." She said it matter-of-factly, not as a reflection of her own trauma, but as a simple statement of fact. "Well," I said, kneeling beside her, "I suppose she'll need a home then, someone to take care of her." Chloe looked up at Mitchell, her eyes shining. "Can we, Daddy? Can we keep her? I know how to take care of things. Granny taught me." Mitchell met my gaze over her head. His eyes were clear and steady. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Pumpkin. What should we name her?" Chloe thought for a long, serious moment, cuddling the kitten against her chest. "Harbor," she said finally. "Harbor?" I asked. "That's a beautiful name. Why Harbor?" She looked at me, her smile so bright it filled the dusty barn. "Because it's a safe place to be when the storm comes, like your house, Granny." "You're our harbor." I pulled her into my arms, Mitchell's arm wrapping around both of us, the tiny kitten purring between us. The wounds were still there. They would always be. But they were scars now, not open wounds. We had survived. We had fought, and we had won. And as I held my family, my real family, I knew we were finally, truly safe. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.